In this video, I want to talk about the importance of physical fitness and why it helps with longevity and maintaining youthfulness. So what I learned is use it or lose it. When I was younger, I was obese, and then I joined the military, got in shape, and then I maintained that. But I like to maintain more muscle. And so I would train. I stayed about 225 for years. And I fluctuated between 235 and 235. And I used everything, and I was able to keep going, but I had a lot of injuries, and that my strength overcame those injuries. I got to the point where I needed to lose a lot of weight, so I started running, and I dropped all this weight. I dropped down to like 186 when I was about 31 or 32. And when I did that, I started getting all this joint pain. I went from being very large and bulky to very, very thin. And I had no muscle supporting not no muscle, but it wasn't strong anymore, supporting my shoulders. And then same with my lower back. And then I went a very long period where I was in a hospital. And so I lost almost all of my muscle strength. And my core was atrophied, as in I couldn't use it. And then all my muscle strength in my lower back was gone, and in my back. So all my old injuries were at 100%. So I had to figure out a way. It's like, how do I get healthy again and get strong again with these injuries? One disc in my lower spine is gone. And then there is a disc that's bulging on my sciatic nerve root. And then I have a deteriorating disc. So that causes a lot of pain. And without the musculature supporting that bone on bone and preventing it, then it's just miserable. So that's something that had to be reworked. And my core muscles weren't working. But I'm not one to not exercise. So I started having I had to figure out a whole new way to train. So I wouldn't hurt my lower back, I wouldn't hurt my shoulders, and I would maintain like my knees and keep my neck strong. So I had to reevaluate all the ways I'd worked out in the past and all the exercises I'd been training on, which would build bulk. So I totally shifted away, and I started stretching more all my joints tremendously. I would look up on YouTube's like shoulder pain, and I'd find a dude on there that's like pointing and explaining exactly the pain I have, or gal, and they'll go through and they'll teach that method of stretching. And I learned about 7 or 8 different great stretches for the shoulder and ways to exercise it, and I rehabilitated my own shoulders. I have no issues with them anymore, and that took me about 2 years. And I developed a whole stretching routine that works through all my joints. It works the shoulders very well. It works the hips, the knees, the ankles, and it maintains. And so then I had to figure out, like, how do I start working my core and strengthening that? Because that, I know it has atrophied and the signals being sent to it don't work anymore, but it's like, how do I get around that? So what I started doing, but what I realized, it was the signal that was not being sent, but everything was still connected up, and there was all the muscles were there. So I would get on an ab roller on my back, on my feet, and I would roll on that ab roller until my back muscles totally fatigued and gave out. But I just stayed in that position, and in doing that, my stomach muscles mechanically, because the back muscles gave out, but I was commanding to be held in a plank or a bridge with my shoulders on a foam roller. And with that, I would start feeling like the muscles blink back on, and then they would turn on completely. So, and then they would just be activated, and that lasts until I go to sleep. So I started repeating that, and I started getting control and starting getting the use of my core back. But I couldn't have done that without proper nutrition, because my brain needs the things to rebuild, like the micronutrients. And it needs brain food to work off of, like cheese, healthy fats, coconut oil. So I had to feed the body everything it needs to repair stuff, to get those signals going again, because I'm demanding it to work. And there's a mechanical level. Just because I can't sense the feeling of it doesn't mean the mechanics aren't worked up or still connected or working. So if I fatigue those lower back muscles, there's like a mechanical switch that gets switched over and all the blood gets diverted to the abdominals, but there has to be something regrowing up there, being repaired. So I have to take greens consistently, eat protein, and I'm going to get into a little bit about the vitamins I take to help supplement and give my body what it's not getting, or give it extra of what it needs. For one thing, thiamine is part of the B complex, if you get a good B complex. And thiamine is the building blocks for the myelin on our nerves. And that helps support a good, healthy nervous system, which is very important for articulation and just sending those signals and making sure all the pathways are being fed the way they need to be fed. Because think of it like a road system, and you get potholes. If you get potholes, things start getting bumpy. Well, if your body's not getting the nutrients it needs to support the coating on the nerves, well then, my goodness, when it's time to replace old stuff, because your body's always replacing, it's going to have garbage or something that is not designed to go there to replace the myelin sheet, but it doesn't have thiamine to work with. So as it goes through and replaces that whole myelin sheet, it's not using one bit of thiamine, or maybe a tiny bit if you're getting a micro bit or if I got a little bit in my diet. But if my diet contained no thiamine, that means a replacement's having to go in there. And so when it's completely rebuilt, do you know what, or replaced, do you know what that means? It means I have a faulty made sheath on my nervous system. And it's not my body's mechanics' fault. It is my fault for giving the improper nutrients to build it, to have a supportive sheath on there. So my reflexes are actually very great and maintained very well. Okay, vitamin D3. That is because I don't get outside very much. I honestly don't. I should, but where I'm at, it's really hot. And you're out there for a few minutes, you're sweating. And so in the wintertime, like, I'm outside more. But I definitely supplement my diet with vitamin D. I use milk thistle also. That helps with inflammation. As we get older, our bodies are more sensitive to different things we eat or ingest or touch to it. So milk thistle helps keep my inflammation down, which is a good thing. I take lion's mane. I started taking that about 3 or 4 months ago. And actually that helps with my mental cognition. And I'm about to switch from the pill version to the dropper version sublingually, so I can get it more a more potent dose and really see what that does. But there's some days when I have a just sharp mental clarity, and I don't know. Some days I'll take this twice, and I don't know if it's just because of that or it's like a build up in my system. But I'll have it where it's just like, man, a lot of focus, and I can really get some stuff done. And then I take berberine for cardiovascular. This one doesn't say it on there. It says healthy brain, supports healthy brain, assists digestive function, and aids in antioxidant support. But there is another thing that this does. It helps your cardiovascular system tremendously. When I am taking berberine consistently, my endurance level is increased. After about a week of taking that, I take it consistently, I don't get like the burning sensation like in my muscles or anything. Like the oxygen turnover rate at cellular level happens a lot faster everywhere when I'm taking this. Like, I can say that for a matter of fact, because This is like one of my secret weapons when it comes to endurance. Like, no joke, hands down. So with that, I eat broccoli. I take a supplement of greens powder on that with like a half cup of rice. And I do about 4 or 5 eggs with that. And I eat that once or twice a day. I'll go like 3 days eating it once a day. And then after that many days, I get hungry. So I'll eat that like twice a day for 2 days. And then I'm not hungry for a while. But I don't keep snacks around. So if I'm eating rice, broccoli, green supplements, and protein every day, close to the same time, it varies sometimes, but my body's getting the same thing over and over and over, and it knows exactly what building blocks it's going to get. Because imagine this, so let's say the coding on the nerves is breaking down, there's a work order sent out. And so they go send a worker down to get the proper building block to bring it back and put it on the myelin sheet to build it properly. It needs the piece of thiamine. Well, if there's not thiamine in there, the worker goes down and he's still having to look even longer because he doesn't just go pick up the first invitation. Like, he really looks. So it takes longer to repair when we don't have the same building blocks every day. But then check this out, the body gets more and more efficient at replacing this stuff consistently. It's like, oh, like, I know I'm getting this, so I can make that demand every day. I don't have to worry about not making that demand. It's like, okay, now it's just going to get easier. I know for a fact that I don't even have to make a demand, and like, once this material gets down there, it's going to make its way here. So it makes recovery so much faster. But stretching is super important as well. I like to make sure my calves are stretched. I like to keep my hamstrings stretched, my quads stretched. And I'll do more dynamic stretching to get all the small muscles all around my hip joints. And then sometimes I'll just do as many air squats as I can. Or I'll get a band and I'll kick my leg in circles. And it's not a heavyweight band. It's just enough to have pressure and be a little bit difficult to hit all those muscles surrounding that joint, supporting muscles. So I'm doing kind of a warm-up or a training exercise of not just mobility in the joint, but all of the muscles working in unison and in proportion to each other. And so I train on that a lot with my physical fitness. But that's important as we get older because our bodies have taken damage over the years. So we need to care for our joints tremendously, and that's what I do. I'm very careful with my joints. If there is an exercise that I believe it's going to hurt, I will not do it. And then I go find something that is creative that will hit that muscle group without any pain. Like, that is the goal of my training. It's like, if my muscles are inflated and kind of burning, that's okay. But my joints, my goal is to have 0 joint pain. And in doing that, it takes a lot of thoughtfulness working through the exercises. But then it's also like, what keeps me mobile? And like letting go of ego, worrying about biceps or pectorals, just like those show muscles, letting that go and moving into a long-term maintenance. And with that, I only wear these for training. I won't wear it. I will maybe once or twice a month wear a pair of heavier shoes than these to train in. And it's usually just for some training exercise I'm going to do and I need something a little heavier duty. The reason I wear these is to save my lower back, my hips, my knees, my ankles, and all of that from impact. When we wear a boot or a shoe that has a sole that blinds the whole bottom of your foot, you land a lot harder and you get the impact in your ankle, your knee, and your hip. I know these are not those, but I'm not going to stand up and point at my ankle, knees, and hip. But this is just for demonstration purposes only. So over the years, you take all of that. It's like the energy shockwave is going up through those joints where it's passing through, take those hits, and then it goes up to the lower back also. So keeping a strong lower back, stretching very well, supplementing the diet with vitamins and nutrients, then also maintaining a strict diet. And with that, I only drink spring water. And that's not some type of like, it's just, it does a really good job. Once I started drinking water from a spring, I will not drink tap water because it just tastes not good. The natural water out of the dirt, earth is the best, and it's the closest thing to what we need in our bodies, like straight from the ground. So those are like some of the big areas that I focus on with maintenance and longevity, not for show-off muscles, not for conversation purposes, but training sessions for keeping a body strong and preventing injuries and protecting old injuries. So stretching is super important. Being very careful of my exercises is very important. My weight is very important. Like, I don't go that heavy on stuff. It's just not necessary. And again, the vitamins are very important in my diet overall to supplement what I'm not getting, because just eating rice, broccoli, and eggs, I'm going to need other vitamins and nutrients, so I have to supplement that. And I want to say again, one more time, these guys, they're so lightweight on my feet, and I feel where my feet land every time, and it helps me prevent falling or rolling my ankle or not being able to feel a curb that I step on and roll my ankle, because at this age, I don't want to break anything or hurt anything. And so the more careful I am, the more longevity I got. So basically, these just barely protect your ground hands, which I call the feet. So when you walk around and stuff, you're constantly feeling where you're going, and so you have more sensation feedback from your feet. And eventually it gets, if you reach down to grab a pencil you know is on a table behind you, if you feel it, you can grab it pretty quick. And it gets that way with your feet, where it's like it feels it and it starts responding. But it also is good for your nervous system to be getting that feedback from down there also. It gives you better body awareness. Okay, I like 5 fingers. I've been wearing them for a long time, but this video is kind of about nutrition and what I do, and hopefully if I share some of that, it'll encourage you to maybe drink more water or be a little more disciplined on your intake, or supplement your diet with a vitamin supplement, or start stretching. I'm actually thinking about doing a video about going through stretching exercises, because that also helps open up your energy centers, which is very good to do. So I may do a video going through my whole stretching routine. Anyway, I hope some of this helped. I'm trailing off. I'm done. Take care. The end.